The original Rise of Skywalker was going to feature a massive battle over Coruscant, Finn leading a stormtrooper rebellion, and even General Hux's brutal death scene. So, what happened? Well, this man, Colin Trevorrow, was originally on board as director of the film, even going as far as to craft a script and make concept art for the movie, which at the time would be known as Duel of the Fates. So while this would have made the whole switching of directors thing even more chaotic, I actually think some fans would have preferred a movie that was at least interesting, even if it went in its own direction, rather than the arguably rushed mess that we got. Before going into the underground history of this project and also its many concept art pieces associated with it, let us first look at the Colin Trevorrow script, which was leaked in January 2020, receiving much attention from fans. As a summary of the plot, basically the First Order is still reigning over the galaxy after The Last Jedi, and Hux is now its chancellor and has blocked communications around the galaxy. The group of main characters, that being Rey, Finn, Poe, Rose Tico, and BB-8, steal from the planet Kot, a star dreadnought, and take it to a Resistance base where surviving members of the Resistance, led by Leia Organa, are living. Meanwhile, Kylo Ren goes to Mustafar to receive a Sith holocron in Darth Vader's castle, which leads him to be trained by Tor Valum, a 700-year-old alien who trained Darth Plagueis in this story, further tying it into the prequels. Kylo learns the ability of Force Drain, where you basically just drain the life force of a being from them with, well, the Force, and he uses this on Tor Valum, his master, to drain his life, and also during his training, he fights the Phantom of Darth Vader, which I feel like further expands on the concept of Kylo's connection to Vader in The Force Awakens. Not saying that anyone really wanted that to be explored more, but I mean, there's some potential with the whole grandson-grandfather connection there. And meanwhile, Rey learns from Jedi texts that they should go to Coruscant, as the Jedi Temple has the power to reactivate communications in the galaxy. But she also receives a vision of her fighting Kylo Ren on Mortis, so she goes to the planet Bonadin with Poe and Chewbacca to get to Mortis, whereas Finn, Rose, and R2 and C-3PO head off to Coruscant. Also in this version, Lando would be the owner of a cabaret bar, living a life of luxury, something that not only much better fits his character than randomly being stuck on Pasaana, but also was a version of the character that Billy D. Williams was actually more happy with. Leia would go to recruit him and his smugglers for an attack on Coruscant, while the other two groups are splitting off, doing their own thing, as they do in most of the movies. And speaking of which, on Coruscant, Finn and his gang turn off the device, which will surely allow Leia to inspire rebellion across the galaxy with the Resistance. But they are captured by stormtroopers, Rose in particular, before Finn defeats a stormtrooper, RK-514, before sparing his life, and then RK-514 joins him as they start a stormtrooper uprising on the planet. Meanwhile, the others, led by Rey, figure out how to get to Mortis, but are attacked by the Knights of Ren. Chewbacca goes wild on a bunch of them, actually having something to do for once in this movie, and then Rey uses Force Lightning to kill one of the Knights after remembering that they were the ones who killed her parents. Rey fears she may be falling to the dark side and leaves for Mortis alone without Poe and Chewbacca. And I think she goes through a forest and fights a beast to... no, not that beast. On Coruscant, Finn leads a revolt with defected stormtroopers, droids, and citizens, while Leia and the rest of the Resistance join in on the battle, leading to the defeat of the First Order, Hux committing suicide with a purple-bladed lightsaber, which just so happens to be Mace Windu's that he collected, and Rose crashing the Eclipse Star Destroyer into the planet Coruscant. And geez, Rose, I mean, Hux really got replaced pretty quickly as the maniac who kills millions of innocent life forms for no reason. And Hux actually commits seppuku, which is a form of Japanese ritualistic suicide by disembowelment, often with a sword to the stomach. On Mortis, Rey and Kylo Ren duel, and Kylo defeats, blinds, and nearly kills her, but then the spirit of Luke Skywalker stops by yet again to fight off his former apprentice a second time, and also offers Rey moral support. Rey says her masters were wrong to reject the dark side, and ends up utilizing both sides, that being the light and the dark, to defeat Kylo. As a final act, the Sith Lord, or whatever he is at this point, attempts to drain the life from Rey, but Leia reaches out with the Force, convincing him to stop. This leads to him healing Rey, instead with his last bit of life transferring it over to her. Before he dies, he tells her that her real name is Rey Solana. Okay, yeah, it's kind of random, but I guess the idea is almost going along with The Last Jedi, that she really doesn't come from anywhere, but that is her real name. So yeah, this original script had nothing to do with Palpatine whatsoever, in case you're wondering. That was completely on J.J. Abrams. Anyway, this Rey Solana, near death, meets with the Force ghosts of Luke, Obi-Wan, and Yoda, who give her the choice to die or continue living. With the amount of prequel stuff, I'm honestly kind of disappointed that Anakin doesn't show up here, and the Resistance heroes receive their medals. However, and Finn and Rose settle on the planet Modesta with Force-sensitive children. Rey stops by and promises to train them in the ways of the Force and how the balance of light and dark will maintain galactic peace. So does this repeat the lesson at the end of Return of the Jedi with Anakin bringing balance to the Force? Well, yes, but better that than completely ruining what those movies set up and established, if you ask me at least. And honestly, I don't really mind Finn and Rose kind of, being together. I mean, that might have surprised some of you, but that was probably one of the most blatantly annoying things from The Rise of Skywalker, was that, because there's obviously so many things that they just went back and changed from The Last Jedi because of the mixed reception, I should say. But this one is just so weird, because it's like they build up this relationship in the last movie, and then they just it doesn't exist whatsoever here, and they just make a new one. Unless that wasn't a relationship, and I'm actually just like remembering that wrong, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe that wasn't a relationship. Maybe they were just friends. I don't know, bro. So now that we've talked about the script itself, let's talk about the development and how it got from this awesome version to what we see today. Going back to the very beginning, it is true that at one point Lucas had plans for 9, maybe even 12 movies in his Star Wars saga, which we've talked about before on the channel. Basically, Return of the Jedi was going to be all about Boba Fett and the rescue of Han Solo, whereas the Emperor wouldn't be introduced until the following trilogy in Episode 9. Mark Hamill actually commented on what Lucas told him of this trilogy, if he ever did it, and how it would be probably filmed around 2011. Mark Hamill would make a similar appearance to Obi-Wan in A New Hope, handing down the torch, and that Luke would train Leia through the Force, all of these ideas that Mark was an advocate for. Fast forward 30-something years, both J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson are apparently involved with early ideas for Episode 9, even though they do deny it, and Abrams would say that countless times they came up with ideas for The Force Awakens where they would say that's great for later with Episode 7 or Episode 9. Even Adam Driver said that they had a conclusion in mind they were building towards, which from his recent interview with the Rich Eisen's show, we can now understand this plan was for Kylo to be a mirror of Vader and the big bad, so to speak, of the trilogy, rather than Palpatine, but then the last-minute Rise of Skywalker changes turned that into Ben Solo, and
somehow Palpatine returned.
In the month of August 2015, the announcement was made to have Colin as the director of Episode 9. Rian Johnson and Colin Trevorrow had to be precise with each other not to break continuity between their two films. Colin Trevorrow wanted to not only shoot the movie on 65mm film, but also wanted real footage from space, and was going to work alongside cinematographer John Schwartzman, who worked on films like Seabiscuit with Tobey Maguire, and also Jurassic World alongside Colin Trevorrow as well. TIE fighter designs such as the TIE Echelon and TIE Marauder were both created by Colin, with the TIE Echelon being used at Galaxy's Edge if you've ever been there. However, the final script, finished in early December 2016, was presented to not only Lucasfilm, but also George Lucas and Mark Hamill themselves. A personal note which makes me already respect Colin Trevorrow more if he did that himself. Also, the movie was of course titled Star Wars Episode 9 Duel of the Fates, which along with the script's usage of Coruscant, Mortis, and the Dark Saber apparently was an excellent usage of the prequel and prequel era concepts being used here more. And there was a little bit of this in The Rise of Skywalker, I suppose, with like Mustafar and stuff, but while they put more effort to reach out to the prequels than they did in the other two movies, they still could have done a better job. When Carrie Fisher tragically passed away on December 27th, 2016, Rest in peace, Carrie Fisher. This presented major problems and setbacks for the episode 9 scripting phase, as she was featured heavily in the script. Carrie had spoken to Kathleen Kennedy saying, "I'd better be at the forefront of 9. As Harrison Ford was big in 7 and Mark Hamill was big in 8, it was only natural for her to be the focus of 9, which according to Kathleen, she would have been." Jack Thorne was hired for a short period of time to rewrite the script, but he recalls it to be a tough process that didn't end well. Ultimately, this led to Colin Trevorrow leaving the project in September 2017, who had creative differences with Kathleen Kennedy, who herself stated him as not the right person for the job, a complaint she mainly attributed to him not being at the original meetings for the trilogy. It makes me wonder if the reason he was replaced was because of the amount of prequel-driven elements that were featured in the trilogy, which probably didn't sit well with the Disney executives. Colin would move on to work on Jurassic World Dominion after this, calling the episode 9 experience a warm-up for that film, and not gonna lie, it's kinda hard for me to believe someone that made that trilogy had ideas this good for episode 9, but I mean, I guess the first one isn't that bad. I feel like he maybe should have stuck with this. I mean, he probably didn't have a choice, but like, this probably would have made him a pretty well-known director if it actually was like as good as it sounds. Then, to sum up Abrams' process of making the movie really quickly, as this video is about the Colin Trevorrow version, yes, it was actually extremely rushed, as JJ submitted his idea for the film exactly 2 years before it came out, and began filming about a year and 4 months before it came out, which is kind of wild. Reshoots were done in September and October of 2019, weeks before the movie release, and the editing of the movie was completed on November 24th, 2019. And a fun fact is that security was so tight on set to prevent leaks that the actors weren't allowed to take their scripts home, and one time when John Boyega left his under his bed, a cleaning person took it and sold it on eBay, but Lucasfilm was able to recover it before it was sold. And some notable concept art items to look at are the Battle of Coruscant with the Eclipse Star Destroyer in all its glory, citizens of Coruscant rising up and refitting AT-STs to their advantage, Chewbacca going beast mode on some Knights of Ren, and also the duel between Rey and Finn, as well as Hux demise, Leia with BB-8 here, and also Luke grabbing the blade of Kylo Ren when he confronts him yet again. I kind of like to think this would have been like an epic 1-hour Battle of Coruscant, maybe around the 3rd quarter of the movie, and then we'd get like a 10-minute uninterrupted lightsaber fight between Rey and Kylo Ren. I just feel like that'd be pretty cool myself, on Mortis that is. But also, I didn't mention it, but there's a Space Guillotine here, which is like so sick, and 2 really cool fan creations surrounding this whole Duel of the Fates thing. There was a fan who made a comic book based off of this script, and you can check out some of those panels just by looking it up on Google, I'm pretty sure. And also check out Mr. Sunday Movies animated video, which does a great job of recapping the whole script.
Meanwhile, Hux, he lost the Battle of Coruscant, and he kills himself on Mace Windu's lightsaber. Oh, there's like a side story in this about how he wants to use the Force, now he's collecting artifacts, but we don't have time for any of that, do we? Let's keep it brief. Cut back to Kylo.
But anyway, that's it for this video. You can subscribe if you feel like it, and yes, that means you, Bob. I know you've been watching my channel for a year, you've never pressed the button, but it is time to do it. We have merch that's coming out very soon, we also do live streams, and there is a join button which you can press, and probably get some members only videos too, like the gaming series, which I'm probably just going to make members only from now on. But yeah, I do videos multiple times a week, always on Friday, and I post shorts multiple times a week as well, always on Saturday. But yeah. See ya.